Welcome to the fourth session of the course Computer Graphics and Visualization. In this session, I am going to cover a topic imaging systems. In that, I am going to discuss about pinhole camera and human visual systems. Introduction. In imaging system, there are two types. Actually, those imaging systems are physical imaging systems. First one is pinhole camera. Second one is human visual system. By understanding the concepts of pinhole camera, I can understand most of the functions of our modern cameras and other optical imagers. That's why pinhole camera and other imaging systems plays a very important role. So you can see the diagram here. Actually, this diagram is a geometrical model of a pinhole camera. Now we are going to discuss the concepts related to pinhole camera one by one. So pinhole camera is a box with a small hole in the center. That hole will be on one side of the box and the film is placed inside the box exactly opposite to the pinhole. So initially the pinhole is covered and it is uncovered for a short time to expose the film. And you can see there in the diagram our camera is oriented along the z-axis. You can see the cursor here. Our camera is oriented along the z-axis and origin and the pinhole will be the origin of our coordinate system. Right guys? Next, we assume that hole is so small. So that's why only a single ray of light can pass through it. Right? And next, the film plane is located at a distance d from the pinhole. You can see there in the diagram. So film plane will be in the opposite side of the pinhole. So it is located at exactly at the distance d from the pinhole. Film plane is located exactly at the distance d from the pinhole. And to calculate the distance, z value will be minus d. Why it is minus d means you can see here. So I need to travel in a reverse direction to reach the film plane. So that's why value of our z coordinate is minus d. You can see the side view of a pinhole camera. So using a formula of similar triangles, I can yield two values that is xp and yp. Remember here, so I'm going to get a image on the film plane. Your film plane is a two-dimensional screen. That's why I'm having only two coordinates. So how many coordinates, guys? So I'm getting an image on a film plane. That's why I'm having only two coordinates. Those coordinates are xp and yp. Right? So using the formula of similar triangles, I can yield a value for yp and xp. Yp is equal to minus y by z by d. Xp is equal to minus x by z by d. So these are the values of a coordinates of the image plane. Right? And one more important thing, the point xp comma yp comma minus d is called the projection of the point x, y, z. You can see there in the diagram. So this is a actual point. Actually, this is a object, and this is the image of the point that is exactly opposite on the film plane. And remember here, my object is point. That's why my image is also a point only. So you can see here. So this line where my image of a point is projected, that line is called as a projection of the point x comma y comma z. The point xp yp comma minus d is called the projection of the point x y z. You can see there in the diagram. Xp comma yp comma zp is the projection of the point x y z. And one more important thing, so you can't go backward from a point in the image plane to the point that produced it. You can see there here. So xp yp comma zp is a image of a point x comma y comma z. From a point, that is image of a point in a film plane, So I can't go backwards towards the actual point in the coordinate system. That's why, right? So I can't go back towards x comma y comma z from xp comma yp comma zp. That is important. Next, in our model, the color of the film plane, obviously, what is our object here? The point is a object. That color of that point in a film plane will be the color of the point x comma y comma z. So what is our point here on the film plane? That is xp comma yp comma zp. So color of the xp comma yp comma zp is same as the x comma y comma z, right? So for a pinhole camera, I can derive angle of view also. Angle of view is the large angle made by the largest object that our camera can image on its film plane. That is, so what is the angle that can be made by a camera to display the largest object, right? So that angle is called as the angle of view, and the formula for angle of view is 2 tan inverse h by 2d, and that angle of view is denoted by theta, right? And one more important characteristics of a pinhole camera is it has an infinite depth of field. Now we can ask a question, what is the infinite depth of field? Every point within its field of view is in focus. So within the field of view, every point, whatever the point is there within its field of view of a pinhole camera will be in focus. Focus means what? So you can see it, you can see it, you can see everything within the focus, right? Regardless of how far it is from the camera. You need not to worry about the distance, whatever the distance it may be, but you can see everything if it is in focus with your camera. That is important characteristic. Next, main disadvantages of a pinhole camera. So what are the disadvantages? Actually, there are two disadvantages. First, you know that pinhole is so small in a camera. That's why only a single ray of light can pass through the source. So that is almost no light enters the camera, right? You can ask a question, why? What is the disadvantage here? If a light is less, your quality of the image is also less. That's why that is a disadvantage. Second one, the camera cannot be adjusted to have a different angle of view. So your angle of view is fixed. You can't adjust to different angle of view. But one thing, you can overcome these difficulties. Now you can see how we can overcome the difficulties. So by replacing the pinhole with a lens, we can solve these two problems. So what are how we can do that means lens gather more light, right? So if it gathers more light, what happens? The image quality will be very high. Along with that, larger the aperture of the lens, the more light the lens can collect. So larger aperture for the lens will help to collect the more light. So by using lens, you can overcome the first disadvantage. In the same way, you can overcome the second disadvantage also. See here. So by picking a lens with a proper focal length, so here focal length is very important. You should be very careful while picking a focal length. A selection equivalent to choosing D for the pinhole camera, right? So that is important. So focal length is important. You need to choose it properly. So you can achieve an angle of view up to 180 degrees if you use lens for a pinhole camera, right guys? And one more important thing, remember this, always image generated on a film plane of a pinhole camera is inverted. What is the meaning of inverted? So you are going to get a reverse image in a pinhole camera on the film plane. This is very important. Image is inverted in pinhole camera. Next in physical imaging system is human visual system. You can see the diagram here. What are the components of your human visual systems? optic nerve, retina, rods and cones, cornea, lens and iris. Right? So now I'm going to explain the procedure. Light enters the eye through the lens and cornea. So cornea is a transparent structure that protects the eye. Right? So understood, guys? What is the first step? Light enters the eye through the lens and cornea. Cornea is a transparent structure that protects the eye. Next, what happens means iris. Iris, what it will do means iris opens and closes to adjust the amount of light entering the eye. Right? And the lens forms an image on a two-dimensional structure called retina. Remember, guys, in the camera image will be formed in the film plane, but in the human visual system your image will be captured on a two-dimensional structure that is called as retina, and retina will be on the back side of the eye. So in a pinhole camera, your film plane will be on the opposite side. Here also your retina, the retina will be on the back of the eye only, and along with that you are going to use rods and cones. So the rods and cones are actually sensors located on the retina. And remember this, very important, rods and cones are excited by electromagnetic energy in the range of 350 to 780 nanometer. In the previous video I explained about radio spectrum, right? There you can see there 350 to 780 nanometer range is a range of visible light, right? So when eye sees a visible light, it's going to excite, right? That's why light is electromagnetic energy, so it is a visible light, right? So, and one more important thing, rods are low level light sensor, mainly mainly account for our night vision. So rods are mainly used for a night vision and are not color sensitive. This is very important. Rods are not color sensitive, but cones are responsible for our color vision, right, guys? So, and one more important thing, resolution of our visual system plays a very important role. So now you can ask a question, what are the factors affects the resolution of our visual system, that is eye, right? So the sizes of the rods and cones coupled with the optical properties of the lens and cornea is going to determine the resolution. So resolution is nothing but a measure of what size objects we can see, right? So resolution is what? So it is a measure of what size objects we can see. More technically, if I want to give example, suppose it is a measure of how close we can place 2 points and still recognize that there are two distinct points. That means I am putting two dots here. So I need to recognize those 2 points as a different ones, right? So that can be example for a resolution. And one more important thing, sensor in the human eye do not react uniformly to light energy at different wavelengths. Here color vision comes into play. See here, actually I told you cones are responsible for color vision. Actually there are three types of cones and a single type of rod, right? So now if I'm telling three types of cone and a single type of rod, intensity and brightness plays a very important role, right? Intensity is nothing but a physical measure of light energy. So brightness is nothing but a overall measure of how we react to the intensity of light, right? So one more important thing, guys, so I told you your eye behaves differently for different wavelengths, right? You can see the example here. So human visual system does not have the same response to a monochromatic green and monochromatic red light. So why I am telling this means, you can see that if these two lights are emitting with the same energy, right? If these two lights are emitting with the same energy also, they would appear to as a different brightness, right? Because of unequal response of the constant rods to red and green light. Sorry, not rods, cones to red and green light. Right? So why means you understood, right? Because our eye is more sensitive to green light and less sensitive to red and blue color. Right? Understood, guys? So even if two lights emitted the same energy, uh, we think that it is having a different brightness because of unequal responses, right? So human color vision capabilities are due to the different sensitivities of three types of cones. So three types of cones, what I can do means I can consider my three types of cones as the primary colors. You know, right? RGB colors. Here also same thing. Three types of cones, that can be red cone, green cone and a blue cone. So those standard primary colors I can use. So using these three standard primaries, I can approximate any color that we can perceive, right, guys? So here also RGB plays a very important role. And one more important thing, initial processing of light in the human visual system is based on the same principles used by the most of the optical systems, but the difference here is, so back-end task, that back-end task of human visual systems are more complex than that of camera, right? So and those back-end computations are carried out in a optic nerve. Actually, optic nerve is connected to the rods and cones in an extremely complex arrangement. I told you, right? It is extremely complex, and definitely it's going to equal a sophisticated signal processor. So it is equal as sophisticated signal processor. It is very complex, right? But but the final processing of is done in the part of the brain. Actually, final processing is done in a visual cortex, so where the high level functions like object recognition is going to be carried out, right, guys? So that's it. Thank you for listening. Please do not forget to subscribe. Peace.